Hey everybody, it's David here again. Okay, so I've got a thing or two to say about the body positivity movement, and a few things actually revolving around men's health and body image as well, without trying to tread on too many toes. Let's dig in. Okay, so there's this notion that women have to look a certain way. Believe the magazines, believe the oversized models getting into fashion, one thing or the other, I guess. Women, let's face fact here, you've never been more self-conscious about your figure, be you over or undersized, or whichever you see yourself to be, but you've never felt so pressured before. And men, this applies to you too, but I'll get to that in a second. So, I just want to get something out of the way now. I don't condone, in any way, shape, or form, including myself, I add, being over or undersized to a point where it is detrimental towards someone's health. If you're a certain size, and it's making you sick, you don't feel healthy, you're sluggish, or you're twitchy, whatever, if you don't feel healthy at the size you're at, then of course I don't condone that, because I don't condone somebody being sick. I mean, in a good conscience, who would? So, if you're over size 18, perhaps, unless you're a skyscraper or something, or you weigh more than I do, but you're like 4 foot or 5 foot something, and you're like this little thing, but you're like, you weigh a whole ton more, well, you're not going to get a nice response from a lot of people, I don't think, or at least not an honest response to how you look if you're asking. And I mean, don't ask me for, if you're beautiful or sexy and all that. I mean, I might say you got a pretty face, but I can't sit there and lie to you. If you are that much larger, I'm not going to condone that. I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you, maybe you could do with losing a little bit of weight if it's getting in the way of your overall well-being. And you can see that as discriminatory, and I feel sorry for you if you do, because honestly, that's really not what's at stake here. And if you see it that way, then I'm sorry. I really am, but it's not about discrimination. It's not about, oh, you're too fat, you're ugly, or you're too thin, you're like a twig. It's not about that. It's not about appearances. It's actually about health, pure and simple. And, if you want to sit there and lie to yourself that, hey, this body positivity movement is this great thing where you can just accept exactly the size you are with no consequences, I'm sorry. If you're over or underweight, your body's going to pay the price. Okay? If you're overweight, your heart's going to get stressed out. There's a whole bunch of health side effects. So, go ahead and claim discrimination and trigger words and all that crap. But at the end of the day, you're the one in the hospital bed, not anyone else. You're the one getting told by the doctor that you're obese. I guess he's discriminating too, but you're the one getting told that. No one else. And people tried to tell you. The few honest people that said, hey, maybe you could stand to lose a couple of pounds, they tried telling you. You didn't listen. Now you're getting treatments for whatever. You got diabetes, or you got high blood pressure, low blood pressure, heart arrhythmia, whatever the fuck you've got from obesity, or being underweight. That has health detrimental effects too. How long can people ignore their body size in correlation to all these health problems that they're having? And especially if a doctor's saying, hey, look, this is connected, maybe you could lose or gain a few pounds here. Maybe you should. Just a word of advice, and maybe you should. And stop bitching about who's being all mean for telling you this or that about your body, and maybe see that these people you think are trying to be mean actually really care about you and don't want you to die before your time. Maybe you haven't thought about it that way, but you need to. Okay, if somebody is sitting there and they're trying very nicely to say, hey, look, maybe you've got an issue, they're not trying to fucking offend you. Okay? It's hard for anyone to say anything about body image now, because the moment you say something, I'm offended. Like, how do you expect anyone to be honest with you if you can't accept the truth? So there it is. Now, I've probably triggered a bunch of people with that statement, but let's get one thing clear here. Being sick does not make you attractive. Okay, I'd say the same thing for severely under or overweight, thick, skinny. None of that nonsense applies here. Sick is not attractive. Okay, and like a person who's got a little bit of curves, cool, whatever. Person who's a little bit thinner, fine. My only concern, and anyone else's only concern at this point, should be if somebody is unhealthy at their particular size. You shouldn't be accepting being sick. You should be doing something about it. You would for anything else. If you get a cold or a flu, you might go and buy over-the-counter medication. You're going to try and make it better, right? The same thing goes for body size. It's the same thing. So, anyways, I don't know if any of you have looked at, say, the rates for obesity globally in the US, but one could argue we're getting a lot bigger as a population for certain, and I'll get to the references. There will be one linked in the comments below. But one could sum up from this whole statistics about obesity, underweight, that this body positivity movement has actually had a really detrimental effect on our health as a whole. And obesity rates, they're skyrocketing. Okay. So, before we were encouraged to look impossibly thin, or, for men, we're encouraged to have this big six-pack and just muscular figure and trim and chisel, and we're encouraged to have whatever facial hair we gotta have, because we gotta appeal to a woman, and a woman has to be a certain skinniness because she has to appeal to a man. And before there were impossible standards, I get that. And that was wrong. People are trying to go after a Photoshop image, and, well, let's face the facts here. There is no Photoshop for real life. We get that. And, ladies, go easy on the makeup here a little bit. This applies to you too. Okay. But the obesity rates on a whole, they are going out of control here. So, let's get into the numbers here. More than 1 in 20 adults are considered to have extreme obesity. 1 in 20. About 1/3 of children and adolescents aged 6 to 19 are considered to be overweight or obese. 1 in 6 children and adolescents aged 6 to 19 are considered to be basically, that's a shocking figure. That's a lot of obese kids. And that really affects their development later on. They could have thyroid problems. They could have diabetes at a young age. And you've got an issue later on. And you want them to be in the best health, so they've got the best possible chance at the future, obviously. And you would want that for yourself, I would assume. I don't personally have kids, but if I had a kid, then that would be what I would want for the kid, is to have the best possible future and not be hampered by a health defect that could have been stopped by managing a healthy weight and a healthy diet. So, there it is. Now, I may not condone unhealthy body sizes or unhealthy habits. And, I'm guilty of a few myself. And I don't condone that either, and I certainly wouldn't say, hey, do this, it's great, fuck losing weight. No, absolutely not. Like myself, I might go out for a walk, or, the work that I do is mostly manual labor, so I get a fair amount of exercise, and, my diet's a little bit lacking. Sometimes. Fresh fruits, veggies, that kind of crap. You've had that all before. It's all online, you can look that kind of stuff up. But anyways, getting back to the issue here. Being under or overweight, I don't think this is a looks issue. This isn't about overall physical attractiveness, although certainly if you if you're really overweight, really underweight kind of a deal, you might have a harder time picking up some people. It might be a harder time for somebody being attracted to you, so on and so forth. Hold on 1 second here. But, let's face facts here. Guys don't want somebody that weighs twice as much as them, except for maybe very, very few. Just like a guy doesn't typically want a woman that is so tiny he feels like if he hugs her he's going to break it. Same thing goes for women with guys. Women, would you want a guy that is like 300-400 pounds while you're maybe like, 110, 120? Or, would you want a twig of a guy if you're like 300-400 pounds, let's say? Would you want this skinny little guy? And maybe there are very few of you, and some of you that might. And some of you might argue love should trump everything, but then I could link you up with another reference stating this epidemic we have of relationships breaking up, infidelity in relationships. More than half the marriages in the US, I would safely say in a lot of first world countries like Canada, UK, but we'll use the US as an example here. More than half marriages, 53% to be exact, do not work. They end up breaking up. Now, does this necessarily only have to do with body image? Perhaps not, but let's face facts here. Physical attraction, being physically attracted to your partner, it's pretty important. If you're not, well, eventually you're going to get tired of them. I'm sorry to tell you this. Love, it's an emotion. It's like every other emotion. It comes, it goes. Those times where you just feel like you want to wring your partner's neck or something. Those times that you really can't stand being around them. Love is a feeling. So is anger, so is happiness, so is sadness. It's all a feeling. Sorry to tell you. And I mean, there has to be more in a relationship than love, and physical attraction, I'm sorry, guys, girls, but physical attraction is a biggie. If you're not physically attracted to your partner, eventually you're going to get tired. You're going to move on. You're not going to find them attractive. You're not going to want to do things with them that you would otherwise want to do with somebody attractive. Or your libido's going to take a massive cut. Oh, I love them, but we only have sex, once every 3 months or something. Yeah, it's kind of related. Sorry to tell you this, but again, don't believe me, look up the figures. The figures will tell you more. But I'll link a reference to that as well. So, again, the body image thing, what we should be promoting is health. We should be promoting healthy habits, healthy lifestyle. And I'm not saying some crazy fad diet where you eat nothing but carrots and cabbage. And I'm certainly not saying that we should just eat everything in sight and be merry and eat mountains of food. We shouldn't do that either. Everything in moderation is a very good rule. If we have everything in moderation, we'll be healthier, we'll be thinner, we'll be more active, we'll be happier as people, honestly. So, let's get rid of this body appearance thing out of the window and let's focus on the health. Because healthy is handsome, okay? Being of good health, it's beautiful, it's very attractive. And if somebody is healthy, other people can tell. Believe you me, people can tell. And if somebody's unhealthy, you can usually tell too. There's always telltale signs. There's always stuff that you can pick up on. If you really look ahead. So, with that in mind, we just need to realize this issue, though it is mainly targeting women at this point, the body positivity movement and such. It's a very gynocentric issue. But we need to think for a second and think, this is also a man's issue too, okay? Men and women, we both factor into this. It's not just one side or the other. And I have a real inkling to think that this body positivity image, well, if it doesn't apply to both genders, then it's a very Marxist issue. Because now you've got women feeling like they're being all beaten down and guys are just kind of left out of the loop and it only applies to women. That's not true. Guys, we're getting bigger, we're getting unhealthy as well, and we gotta step up to the plate too. We all do. It doesn't just apply to men or women, it applies to both, or whatever gender you happen to be. But it applies to the whole bunch, not just one or the other. So we all need to pitch in on this and simply promote healthier activity, healthier discussion too. We need to be able to talk about body image and not feel like our position is irrelevant or we're discriminating towards somebody for being honest about how we feel they look, perhaps. That doesn't mean that we should be belting out comments when they're uncalled for. But if somebody asks how they look, we shouldn't have to feel like we have to call them beautiful when we really don't think they are. I mean, if we actually do, then fine, fair enough, but we should be able to say, you know what, you're a little bit big for my taste, without having a whole hissy fit and somebody going screaming down the road or whatever. We should be able to be honest with each other. And right now we can't. So we need to be able to. And I think if we can start being honest with each other about these issues, we stand a better chance of resolving them. Anyways, that being said, I'm going to sign off for the night, and any comments are encouraged, but let's try and keep it constructive. So, let's discuss the issue. If you feel like it, leave a comment below, and let's talk about it. And with that being said, good night. I will be posting again very soon.